Alright, welcome to Nosy Joe's coverage of MSXC Cave City 2023. First, just showing a little bit of footage of why I'm not including my first lap. Kind of a rough start. Coming through the timing here at the end of the first lap, I'm going to pick up here on my second lap. Second lap was my second fastest. Actually, my fourth lap was my fastest. My first and fifth were my slowest. First lap was basically slow because of that pileup on the first hill there that I was showing. And fifth lap was slow because I hit a dang tree. It kind of took me a while to get going after that. So this was at a new to us land. The course was pretty fresh cut just for us. It had only really been used for horse trails and kind of logging roads prior to that. So I really enjoyed it. A lot of it was very good conditions and a lot of it wasn't. So it was 44 degrees and sunny. All that was good, but it had been freezing overnight and, like 16, 17 degrees. So by the time we started, it wasn't completely thawed out. So there were a lot of areas that maybe had just thawed out on the surface, but we're still frozen right below the surface. So it made for some slick areas. Thankfully, though, you could kind of see it. It wasn't like hidden ice or frozen ground where you can't tell it's frozen. It was pretty obvious where the slick spots were, so you just had to be careful. I made a couple bike setup changes after the last race. I think they were in the right direction, but I need to do a little bit more. I maybe overdid it a little bit. But if you recall, in my last video, I was struggling a little bit with front end push after going with that Kenda tire in the rear. This is where the pileup was right here. That's what that was all about, that little hill. So no real trouble when there wasn't traffic. So anyway, back to my setup changes. Kind of read up on how to fight front end push. Number one, I tried to sit as far forward on the seat as I could when I was sitting. Just get more weight over the front end. So I did that. Was very conscientious about that. I went one click in on my fork rebound, so basically slowed down rebound on the front end, just one click. And I don't know if that helped or not, because I made too many changes at once, but that was something I read that would be helpful. And then I put just a little bit more preload on my shock spring, just to kind of move the center of gravity forward on the bike. So, and then lastly, I took up 1 pound of air out of the front tire. Those were a bunch of minor changes, because I don't think I changed the sag more than maybe 1 millimeter. And they added up to, be very, very good direction. I didn't have any front tire wash out like last race, so I solved the problem. Just doing a bunch of minor things. I didn't want to do anything too much. I did probably take a chance by making so many changes all at once. The only change I didn't like in retrospect was it's kind of 50-50 on it, but my shock change as far as going a little bit more preload. If I'm going to do that, I think I need to slow down the high speed rebound on it a little bit. I had a couple times where it was wanting to buck on me, But on the counterpoint to that is I never bottomed out the shock, and I have been kind of bottoming out the shock. Each race, I never did that today. So I know a lot of riders say, well, if you're never bouncing or bottoming out, then you've got too much preload. But it's very jarring to my back to bottom out my shock. I understand that I'm going to bottom out the forks probably every once in a while, but so I really kind of like the preload where it is. I'm going to have to think about that a little bit. I think maybe the one simple solution would just to be slowing down my high-speed rebound, so I don't get that bucking. But the bucking was minor. That also might be a result of me moving forward on the bike, where I used to sit. The rebound was fine because I had more weight over the rear, and now I'm shifting my weight forward, so the rebound seems too fast. That could be it as I think about it. Good little log jumps here they put in there for us. Again, I thought a lot of this was a really neat course. Hadn't been ridden on. You can see they'd done a lot of logging, taking down trees. Definitely a little smoother than, like, let's say Russell Creek, where we raced at last time, where it just been raced so much and really rutted out. So you can see where I'm being a little bit tentative because I'm thinking maybe the ground's a little bit frozen. This section through here I just thought was really cool. So this is round 8. There's 2 more races. This is the last one that's in Kentucky. And this one had a last minute location change. I say last minute, it was announced on Monday. The previous location was too wet, but this was really no issue with water at all here. I don't think it had really rained at all since Tuesday. This was a Saturday race. The name of the location was Jesse James riding trails, I think they called it. A place to take your horses to ride. Little rock garden here. Bunch of little rocks poking up out of the grass. Back to a fire road. Picking up some speed. Happy to be able to show my second lap as my fast lap. I've had a problem here recently where my second lap's actually my worst. A little bit of mud here. This is about the only place that was real sloppy. Two spots really. But yeah, the next race is going to be at Loretta Lynn's. I'm going to have to decide whether I'm going to do that or not. It's quite a drive. Probably would involve an overnight stay, so. This beta here is really struggling. I think it's a beta. Hooking up. I'm still on my Kenda with the tubeless. Ooh. I guess I'm struggling with hooking up too. But yeah, I'm still on my Kenda with a tubeless, and I'm still liking that. So, second race on that tire. Always takes me a second to get my rhythm back after taking a little fall. No big deal though, just dump the bike. This area here reminded me a little bit of Wrestle Creek with all the really dense trees. Definitely some rocks on this property. Didn't cause too much trouble though. So now I gotta chase down these guys that passed me while I was on the ground. One bad thing about not showing my first lap is I did a lot of passing in the first lap. I mean, I had a lot of people to pass because I spent so much time on that first hill, so I had to pass a lot of row 16 through 18, especially during the first half of lap 1. But then as I got into lap 2, it had kind of cleared out and I was just kind of getting into a rhythm. Passed by Yamahas. Yeah, you could open it up on these fire roads, and you could forget that there's a turn. Yeah, I enjoyed this whole strip here that's kind of runs parallel to the highway. I suppose that's I-65. I'm not sure. The property was only about 2 miles from the interstate. The course was 6.2 miles, so the guys in my class, for the most part, all got about 5 laps. I got 5 laps. The first place guy, Joe Brown, actually got 6 laps. He didn't lap any of, well, he might have lapped some of the last place guys, but as far as the top 6 or 7, he didn't lap us, but he did get 1 more lap in than the rest of us. This guy ahead of me here was in my class, so I didn't pass him as he was off to the side, not for me. But I'd work on him fair and square. I got past him there. Sounds like a 4-stroke on my tail though. Bike's running good. Yeah, that's my fault there. You hear somebody buzz at you and you think there's just one. And so you get out of the way and then there's really another guy tucked in behind him. In my opinion though, the guy behind him should also should ring your bell a little bit. So you know there's two. But anyway. Good track markings this time, I'll mention. No issues with tape being broken and getting off course, which honestly has been about half of the races this winter, unfortunately. I know the guys that run the series can't completely help that. I think sometimes they could have done better as far as, you know, when the course just takes a 90-degree. They need to tape that up a little bit better, but I guess there's just been more issues with people blowing through it, and it messes up the guys like me that are in row 15 by the time we get there. But zero issues with that today, so shout out there. This was kind of a little technical downhill right here. Starts out like no big deal, but then after you take this turn here, actually after you take this turn here, it gets a little sketchy, and there's a slick spot about halfway through. Yeah, I couldn't make the left and stay on it, so I had to kind of go cross country here, but it thawed out and actually got a little easier as the day went on. The first lap it was real sketchy. This was nice of him to kind of bypass that little corner right there. That was another point of hang up on lap 1. And then every time he kind of came out here into the sunlight out in the pasture here, had the tendency to be slick, so I definitely just kind of cruised through a lot of clutch, let it roll. This also looked very slick right in here, just kind of playing it safe. It was strange that the areas with sunlight were actually slicker than the areas in the woods. Willie did a lot of kind of up in the woods and then back down into the pasture with the sun, and these were the slick areas. These kind of turns back into the woods. recall, this guy ahead of me is going to demonstrate how slick it is. I could be wrong. Oh, I'm right. And there's a little quick little uphill right here that was very similar to the one that everybody got hung up on at the first part of the race, but no issue there. And I overshoot this turn again. But like I did that about every lap. A little bit more rock garden here. Got me off track here, but yeah. Oop. Cut that guy off. But yeah, a lot of little rocks in this last section before the start-finish line. Again, whenever you came out in towards the pasture in the sun, it was slick. So anyway, this guy's gonna take the lead through scoring, and then I'll catch back up with him. But that was my second lap. Pretty strong and a pretty good race. See you guys next time.